to just put Amanda on? Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Good evening to everybody, and welcome to our Thursday, June 15th, 2023 meeting of the school committee. I would invite everybody who's here in the audience to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and start out with, if there's anybody here for public comment, can you just let me know, because we can do that. And if there are no public comments here, I'm going to move us right into recognitions, because we have some really exciting people here to recognize. So I'll let you.
Sure, thank you. We have some special guests tonight. We have the Hopkinton High School Unified Track D2 state champions with us tonight. And we also have some of our science fair winners who won an award at the national level. So I think I'm going to ask Coach Collins if you can come up, introduce your team, and then we'll move on to our science fair winners.
It would be good if we could get a picture of them after as well.
Well, the team couldn't make it tonight. We had our banquet, too many nights out. It's a little crazy.
I understand.
We've been partying way too much, I guess. So, Jacob, why don't you take a seat right here? Okay. Jacob has a little speech.
Excellent.
So, why don't you take a seat? And
Do you want to? Yeah, I was going to say pull a couple chairs up so everybody can sit.
How are we doing, bud? Awesome. Yeah. You take a seat right there.
See, let's chair there, Benny.
There you go, Ben. So today, yes, this is state champions, unified track, D2. This is Jacob Marasco. Hello, Jack Malone, and Ben Malone. Ben Malone's one of our 8th graders that was also able to compete on our team. We had 2 other 8th graders that were able to compete on our team, which actually those 3 8th graders were able to accumulate 23 points. Which was definitely, we won, it was 99-91. So I thank my 8th graders because we snuck them in. And I thought that was really cool to have them. That's a great opportunity to have the younger guys, younger athletes be able to come up to play, to participate at the high school level. It also helps with their transition to the high school. I think it's a tremendous thing for that. So it's a win-win for me and Coach Mills. So this is Coach Mills, my other assistant coach. Coach Gaudette also is unable to make it tonight. So the team is comprised of 23 teammates. Half are athletes, and the other half are partners. Partners are typical students that compete, and then our athletes that compete. The unique thing about unified track is you walk onto the track, you walk onto the field, there's no distinction between who's who. It's game on. Level playing field, you compete at your ability and level is the best thing in the world. So someone like Ben is going to be running, which he took 2nd place in the 100 meter. Fantastic, thank you for those 8 points. Was running against someone else of his same speed and his ability. Versus Jacob is a little bit faster and Jack is a little bit faster. So it's the best thing about it. So then even your partners that are competing have to compete at their ability, and they get put into different, what they call heats and tiers. So if they're doing a shot put and they're throwing anywhere between 26 and 30, that's where they're competing. And you're competing and you don't know who you're competing against because you're competing. So it's really the coolest thing about the unified part for track and field, because everybody's competing, everybody contributes to the team in one way or another. We have a relay team that is really fast, and we have 2 relay teams, and we interchangeable. Players you have to have 2 partners and 2 athletes, and we interchange sometimes on the fly. At sectionals, we kind of literally within 2 minutes of starting the relay, we decided to put one together, and it worked out. And the team comes together in a way, it just is absolutely amazing. And what this program has done for us is building such a strong community. It is a fun job. I asked them to do 3 things for me. Good sportsmanship, work hard, do your best, and have fun. They've checked all those points. They've done that. That was my biggest challenge to them, is to do those things for us. And everybody, buys in on it, from partners to the coaches. I don't know who has more fun, by the way. If you ever see us at track meets, I don't know who's having more fun. Ben's top fun. Or me. So we all have fun and everything. So it's a really great thing. But Jacob has a speech here that I'd like him to read. You ready to go?
Yes, guys.
Let's go home. Yes.
I know, you got yourself on the camera over there, man. You're right there, Jack. Look at you. Hey, Jack, how are you? Okay. Go. All right, Jacob's going to read real quick. Go ahead.
Hi, guys. My name is Jacob Mariska.
Hi, Vic.
Schweiger.
No.
Hi, guys. My name is. Hi, guys. My name is Jacob Mariska. I am on the Unified Track team. I am very proud of my coaches and my teammates. We had other great season and won the skate championship for a second year in a row. It was a lot of fun. I purify in being a habitant athlete. And thank you for supporting Unify Sports. We are heroes.
Nice job.
I think that kind of sums up what Unified is. Ben and Jack have a great time. We all have a great time. If you have any questions, if you want to know more about this, feel free. I'd gladly sit down and talk your ear off for about an hour. It's easy. The Unified program started in 2018. This was our 6th year. We also have Unified basketball. In the winter, we also offer Unified strength and conditioning. In this coming up, we're going to offer Unified bocce, just to offer some more fun activities. The 2 sports, basketball and track, are MIA supported. So you're a varsity player and you get all the perks of being a varsity player and everything. Jack this year was one of our captains. So he got to go on the retreat for being a captain. So that was pretty neat. So we have, obviously, if you have partners and athletes, then you need partners and athlete captains. Plain and simple. So, great. Thank you.
Fabulous. Really exciting to have you guys here, and congratulations. That is an impressive piece of hardware there that you guys have.
Yeah.
Any of you guys do, I think Jacob, I saw a picture of you doing basketball as well. Anybody else do basketball?
The Malone boys.
Do you
Nice.
do basketball, correct? Do you play basketball?
No.
Yes.
Nice.
And Jack does
Jack, do you
too.
play basketball?
Yes.
Jack started as an 8th grader as well. So he started as an 8th grader as we go around. He's going to be a rising senior.
Yeah.
Whoa. Mom, I'm sorry. We have our 8th grader here. Cool thing about, Ben was having a difficulty getting it to the hoop, so we would always help him. This past Thursday, we were in the gym playing around, sunk it. He got his own basketball, got his own shot. So it was just seeing the development and fun and watching everybody come together and cheer on it. When someone gets a basket for the first time, it's pretty huge. I'm going to look forward to when it happens in the game. So I might get a technical for running on the feet on the court. Because, referee, Scotty Mack will tee me up. And I got to be careful of that because I walk into the court, I have to stay in my coach's box.
Yeah.
And he's very...
This guy's like Bobby Knight on the sideline.
Yeah, it's bad. So he's all over. Mr. Golden, he gets away with it. It must be a good relationship or something like that. Yeah.
This is great. Did anybody else have any?
I'm thrilled to hear this. This is just. I'm smiling on the inside even here. This is just a fantastic program. I look forward to see more good things come out of this.
Yeah, it's great. Back-to-back champions too.
Yeah.
We won last year and this year. Last year we left early, didn't realize it. Got a phone call on the bus. Hey, coach, where are you? I'm like, we're heading home. I said, well, we could have used you on the field because you guys won. I'm like, oh, didn't know that. Well, we almost did it again this year. Because I was packing up everything.
Chip was trying to load up the buses.
I was loading up the bus, getting everybody going. Next thing you know, I get a phone call from Special Olympics saying, Chip, did you leave? I go, I'm at the bus getting ready. You need to get on the field with your team now. You're not doing this again to me. I go, oh. So again, we're not there to win. We're there to have fun. So we weren't thinking about it. And what our team does with the sportsmanship and everybody has a great time. Many coaches ask us, how do you get them to, like, everybody's cheering constantly? I go, well, it helps to have someone a little enthusiastic like Mr. Mills and myself. And Coach, we're very enthusiastic. We throw into what they're doing, and so I think it's easy to get excited. It is very easy to get excited, and in that atmosphere, if you've never been to a state event, especially for Unified, there were 58 other schools there. We competed against 30, so a lot of action going on there. So it was very interesting and I know a lot of kids from other schools, so they were like, hey, what are you doing here? And it was kind of fun that way too. So, and we make friends throughout the day too, because you're on the field, you're hanging out. So it's great. So our coaches are great. I can't be more happy. You know, Kylie did a great job with us this year, and Rich was always supportive. Dee King is the reason why we have this.
Yes.
If you ask her what her crowning moment is, it's Unified Sports. That's her one thing that she's really proud about in her career, amongst other things, but she says that's number one. So.
It's great to hear that the Unified Sports are expanding.
Yes.
That makes me very, very happy. And I see your parents here must be very proud. Can we come over and get a picture with you guys? Would that be all right?
Oh,
Just
yeah,
to,
absolutely. You want a picture?
We like to have happy moments
Jack, you
with
like
your
pictures?
yeah,
Jack, you like
over
pictures?
there.
Benny?
Or that, you know.
Jack, you want to
go?
hold the trophy? Over here, bud. You get to hold it.
Mr. Jack.
Here, I'll trade you.
Oh, you trade. Oh, nice job, buddy.
Sure. Yeah.
Over here, bud.
I know you love it. Over here. Where do you want it?
Yeah.
Do we go over there?
Yeah. You want to in?
We're gonna walk up.
We can come around.
No, we'll go that way.
All right.
Yes, we want a good background. All right, my friend?
What do you think, Ben, over here?
Yeah, way to go. Come on over, Ben.
Yeah, you guys want to sit in our chair?
Oh, you want those comfy chairs? Oh, yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Right here, Benny.
One more, yeah.
There we go.
Nice speech.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Thank you very much. Take a seat.
Take a seat. Take a seat. You're natural.
Jacob, do you want to sit?
Jacob, sit in for there. Oh, Ben, you're good. Ben.
All right. This is great.
You can hold that, and I'll hold this, and I'll go over here. I apologize.
We got coaches in here, we got everybody.
Oh yeah, I think we do.
All right, good. Thank you. Look at the cameras.
Everyone looking? Nice.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you
All right,
guys.
thank you guys so much for coming out.
It is.
Yes.
Congratulations. We'll look forward to cheering you on next
Jen,
year.
nice work.
And,
Jacob, great work.
Oh, my God.
All right.
all right, thank you. Ben, do you want to call the meeting to adjourn?
All right, thank you very
so
much.
much.
Coach Collins, Coach Mills, and please
I will.
let Coach Gaudette know thank you to
I
all
will,
of you.
absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Oh,
Thank
great
you.
to have you.
Come on, thank you. We're going to slide out this way. Say thank you.
Thank you, Jacob. All right, and thanks for speaking.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, there's the photo.
There we back.
Amanda, can you hear us okay?
She's gonna mute.
Okay, she's on mute. Okay, just for people at home, I forgot to say this when we started. Amanda Fargiano is on a little snafu with her train coming in from Boston, but she is here and can hear us going on and participating remotely, and will be here when her train gets in and she's driven back. So I will turn that
All
back to
right,
you.
so now we have our second recognition of the evening. Mrs. Murphy, if you want to just come on up and introduce your scientists, and then they can talk about their project. And we're lucky to have them here tonight because apparently they are on a whirlwind tour.
Yes, yes.
They are now
Hard to get on their schedule, but we're very excited to be here. Thanks for having us. I'm Krista Murphy. I'm a chemistry teacher at the high school, and I run the science fair program. And this is Dylan, Riley, and Disha, our banner team this year in the science fair program. So I'm going to introduce them, and then they'll have a chance to tell you a little bit about their project. But I wanted to start by saying thank you so much for your support of this program. I know Holly was actually able to come and judge this year, which is really exciting. But this is a program that is near and dear to my heart as an alum of the program. I think this is my 5th year running at the high school, and it's getting bigger and I think better every year. And we couldn't do it without the support of the school committee saying that this is something you value and put money and time and resources to, and a big thank you to the HPTO, who does a huge amount of funding. We have one team here, but we had 51 teams, over 100 students participate, which is basically as big as it gets in the state, and we really couldn't do it without your support, so thank you. So this team put together an incredible project on the Dawsonite diver, and I'll let them tell you about it in a minute, but I think I want to speak for many teachers and mentors at the high school to say that this is truly a special team, not only with how much success they've had. They won the school fair, they won 1st place at the state fair, they won the international playoff, they won 3rd place in the international fair for environmental science. They are sweeping these invention competitions all over the country, getting patents and innovation awards, like all these amazing things. But truly couldn't be a nicer group of students. They are the hardworking. Judges comment on their teamwork and how many hours they've put in. But one of the things that stands out, I think, to so many of us is how much fun they seem to be having. You know, they do this because I think they truly love solving problems. And something as a teacher that I really love is seeing the way that they seem to go through their day. And you know, what's better than this is, what am I hearing in history class about problems around the world? What am I hearing in robotics that might help? What do I hear in chemistry? And then putting together this project that is our dream of cross-curricular, right? That's what we want to hear. So they took their science fair project, then they incorporated all their work with Doug Scott in engineering and robotics to then actually build the prototype that they thought they could make and then turn it into this whole nother thing this spring. So I think on behalf of so many teachers that have worked with them, I think a lot of us can look at them and say, oh, they started this idea way back when, probably your middle school teachers or elementary too. And it's just really fun to see a team that loves solving problems and thinking about how they can use this great education they're getting to really make a difference. So we couldn't be more proud, and we're really excited that all these other people have recognized their great work too. So congratulations, very, very well deserved. Talk a little bit about the science of your project.
Okay, so we invented the Dawsonite diver. It's a machine that goes on the back of boats, and it reverses ocean acidification by taking carbon dioxide that's in the ocean and then converting it into Dawsonite through electrolysis.
And Dawsonite can be used to put out fires, and it's a lot safer than the PFAs that firefighters currently use because those tend to react with the fire and form new products, whereas Dawsonite starves it of oxygen, and so the fires go out that way.
And if this were to be implemented on the 11 million cargo ship trips within the U.S. yearly alone, then enough Dawsonite would be produced to fill 2/3 of a space shuttle, yielding over $4 billion worth of profit, because Dawsonite goes for about 70 cents per gram, and 200,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide would be extracted from the ocean water yearly.
It's really amazing, yeah.
Small scale.
High school.
Yeah. And sophomores and juniors, not even seniors yet, so they're just getting started.
So we went to the science fairs and we did a bunch of work with figuring out the best variables to use to make the most Dawsonite with distance, time, and voltage through electrolysis.
And then we made our physical prototypes. We had 3 major prototypes, and we were actually able to put our 2nd and 3rd ones on the back of a boat and look at the Dawsonite production over time.
Yeah, and then throughout this whole year, we definitely learned the most we ever have, because not only did we need a lot of chemistry in this, but none of us have actually taken a chemistry course before this year that wasn't online. So it was a lot of self-learning and a lot of 7:30 a.m. meetings with our teachers and figuring it all out.
Yeah, and then through these events, we've been able to meet really important people that are let me get you a lawyer so you can get like another patent and work on like licensing, and it's just been insane opportunities to meet these really cool people.
Oh my God.
Big thank you. It's really, it takes a village in the high school. So they worked with Connor Zanini, who's a science fair mentor and chemistry teacher, Doug Scott, Jen Smith. I know there's so many people that have played a role, but as you can tell, it's 99.9% these kids who just said, we want to figure it out. And then that's when they do all that learning because it really matters to them. So it's been great to watch and be a part of. Incredible. Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
You guys are
congratulations.
exceedingly amazing.
Thank you.
As you were talking, I was thinking about the PFAS has been such a big thing in Hopkinton. Just in terms of I'm sure you've heard a little bit about the water issues we've had because of the PFAS.
They probably have it solved already.
But amazing what you guys have done. I always appreciate all the opportunities that you create for our students with the science fair and all that you've been doing over. I don't even know how many years you've been doing it, but as long as I can remember.
Me too. Thank you.
And it's always exciting to have you come with the kids to the meetings here and talk about things that I maybe don't even know what all the words are initially. So I appreciate that you can bring it down to some of our level that might not know a lot about Dawsonite to begin with. So.
What has been your favorite part of all of these like really cool challenges that you seem to have taken part in? What has been your favorite part of it?
I really like meeting all the people. We went to a lot of competitions, and everywhere we went, everyone was really nice, and we were able to talk to people that maybe had similar projects to us and get new ideas.
Yeah. I just like improving upon our design, our experiments. Like after each competition, we didn't just go like to the next one with the same thing that we had at the one before. We always try to do something more, try to make more work, or like figure out how to fix more problems with that.
And then definitely a lot of our firsts were one of my favorite moments. One of my favorite moment ever was we were at our school classroom lab, and we were trying to prove that what we had created was Dawsonite and not just some other salt, and we were looking under it in a microscope, and we were really expecting nothing to happen because this was something we just made up basically. And when we saw it work, we literally just started screaming and we high-fived each other and we were just like, I can't believe it worked. And that was really yeah.
So what next? What happens this summer?
I mean, we want to keep going with this project, keep trying to see if we can make it a little bit more efficient and work better. We've already filed for a patent, so we're going to keep working towards that. And then at one of the competitions we went to, we got an award that lets us work with a licensing agent for the next 6 months, so we'll be doing that as well.
Awesome. Wow. Incredible.
Thank you.
Thanks. Well, thank you for putting Hopkinton on the map. You're making us famous.
Can we get a picture with you guys too?
Of course, yeah.
Thank you.
The picture I'll use when I'm eventually working for all of us.
Right? Yeah. I don't think I would be able to be hired by now.
Well, I'm not human. I won't be doing anything important.
They need an agent.
All right. Should they sit?
They want to sit in the comfy seats. Sure. All right, so I didn't ask, but so you guys are sophomores and juniors? Is that
Yeah, he's a sophomore, we're juniors.
I think I said their college is already paid for.
That's right.
And doctorates.
Are you ready?
Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for coming out tonight.
What's that?
It's my second one of my grandmother's lunch.
Good luck with the next piece of this. Thank you. Look forward to hearing more about you.
You guys are amazing. Thank you.
All right. Good night, you guys.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us then into the superintendent's report.
Good night, Mrs. Murphy. Good night, Mr. Mills.
Good night.
Okay, so this is the superintendent's report for June 15th, 2023. It is summertime, and we will be saying goodbye on the 21st to a lot of the people who are our 183-dayers, but our 12-month people will be here all summer. And one of the things we've never done, I think, in a superintendent's report is sort of outline what happens in the Hopkinton Public Schools over the summer. So while our administrators and everyone else who's working in the summer will spend a little bit of time on the lazy river, there's an awful lot of work to do. So one of the things that we do this summer is really kind of setting the course for where we're going in the 23-24 school year. So we'll be working on the district improvement plan through strategic planning, and then all of our building principals will also design their school improvement plans. Our teachers have an opportunity for new educator orientation, so those who are new to Hopkinton for this year. We will be conducting some more mentor training so that our people who have professional teacher status who would like to mentor a beginning teacher can do that, and several curriculum development projects. Our students have an opportunity to attend the extended school year ESY program or the summer HOP program, or we also have some students who are involved in an internship program for which they are paid, and that is grant funded. We have our administrative assistants and our data personnel. They'll be doing lots of student registrations. We're hopeful that it's not too many. They'll be ordering materials and supplies. They have all of our network accounts have to be updated and rolled over, so lots of kids will need licenses, and then we'll be rolling them over from FY23 to FY24, and lots of state reporting to do. I know that Lisa Cardy works very hard on that, and there's always a deadline, and she will look a little frazzled until all of that actually gets submitted. And then our building and district administrators, we have our summer administrators retreat, and that's on the 15th and 16th of August. We are going to the MASS conference, Mr. Lebrad, Ms. Zucker, and I, and a person from Blackprint. So the four of us are presenting at that conference this summer on some of the work that we've done in Hopkinton on DEI. Lots of scheduling to be done, lots of grant writing, and Mrs. Rothermick will be doing all of the bus routes for 30-plus buses in 2 different shifts. Our custodial staff and maintenance staff, lots of building cleaning and repair, lots of property maintenance. We have 680,000 square feet to be cleaned and 120 acres to be improved and maintained. Our tech department will be managing about 1,500 devices, and that means establishing leases, putting them in kids' hands, cleaning those devices, trading them out. And just a very quick thank you to the 183 dayers who are our teachers, paras, nurses, related service providers, counselors and psychologists, administrative assistants, cafeteria staff, bus drivers, crossing guards, and of course our students. And then a thank you to the people who will be with us all summer. It's been a long year. It's been a great year. I feel like we have come out of COVID strong. And so a thank you to all those folks, and including, again, our technicians and data specialists, custodians and maintenance, administrative assistants, our HR folks, our finance folks, special education people, and of course the administrative team. So that's what I have for you. A busy summer, and we're excited to get at it.
What curriculums are being developed this summer?
I will let you answer that question.
Thank you. Quite a few. There's nothing that holistically is being brought, start to finish, but we're certainly building, I can say, in every single academic domain and in our pro-social SEL teaching, there is some development that's happening. So something K-12, something for math, science, literacy, everything in between. So. And hopefully this fall we'll be able to share a little bit about that.
Okay.
Sounds like everything.
Everything, yeah. Yeah.
And it's very teacher generated.
It is, it is.
Which makes it nice.
That's great. Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, I also did want to just call out that I did go out of order. I did not do the reorganization with the nominations for the vice chair because I'm hoping that Amanda will be able to make it, and we can do that as we've been waiting to have a committee of 5 all together here in person. So.
Well, it's getting to be a hard job, isn't it?
Thank you. Just want to let you know I'm approaching Natick Center.
Oh, great. All right.
Hopefully we'll be there in time to do that. Thank you.
All right, great. So that then will move us into the school committee chair report, and I just want to report that warrants 23-067S and 23-068S have been approved. Copy of the warrants are included in your packet. And then I know, because we haven't done the whole liaison discussion, that we don't all have like new liaison stuff, but does anybody have, although we all were at the CPAC, most of us at the CPAC DMX, sorry. You were there in spirit, so. Any other, I will say, there was an elementary school building committee meeting earlier this week. They continue to work with our partners to look at things within the building, places they're able to appreciate costs. Sometimes the little things that seem little, actually, they're able to appreciate a fair amount of cost. And just, we discussed flooring, ceiling, and walls, and looking at the importance of making sure we have quality, but also making sure that we're using something that is as cost effective to be responsible to our taxpayers, and make sure that we're bringing forward a building that is both supports our educational model, but also supports our taxpayers' ability to fund it. Along with that, we do have, as we have talked a little bit kind of here, but also doing some scheduling behind the scenes, we're going to do our first listening session on June 25th. I have invited already a few of our past town leaders. There will be more that I'll be reaching out to individually. It will be by Zoom, and that's a Sunday evening. It will be by Zoom starting at 7. We're not going to do this Sunday because this Sunday is Father's Day, and I did get some feedback from people that I may have overlooked that. So
now, will you send out a Zoom invitation?
I will. There will be a Zoom invitation. It will also be posted because I know that will be a quorum of the school committee will be there. It will also be publicly posted and sent out, not just to the school committee, but also out to try to get as many people in the community involved to share, what their questions are, what their concerns are, so that we can really hear from people more so. And there will be information to give people, but really an opportunity for us to listen. I know also I did see a survey that went out from the district to the district regarding asking what people's questions and concerns were, and giving people an opportunity to pass those along to us so we can try to tailor our discussions towards what people want to know and what their concerns are.
I loved the form for written feedback, 'cause I feel like we'll get people will forget about a 7 p.m. at night.
Right.
But having that thing, you can always send us whatever you're thinking, even if it's not nice.
And sometimes especially if it's not,
I appreciate that accessibility.
We'll do 3 of those. I have a couple dates that I'm going to circulate that the senior center has given us to do something in person. Excellent. So that we can have a few in-person opportunities as well. So.
Awesome. Thank you.
Just to clarify, those Zoom meetings are strictly Zoom. They're not.
They are strictly Zoom. Right. They are. I find, and I know the hybrid offers kind of both opportunities, but sometimes I find the Zoom, I find it easier to focus on either the Zoom or the in-person. I find the hybrid can be more challenging.
Sure. I certainly agree with that. I just wanted to people to be clear that that's what our intent is.
Yeah. And I know the ESBC forum that was, I guess that was a week ago now. It's all kind of blending together at the end here, but that was actually, I think, the highest attendance they'd had, and that was strictly Zoom. So, all right. So that then will move us into new business. We have the Apple lease. Mrs. Rodman.
Thank you. So the memo in your packet tonight is for 2 leases, excuse me, of Apple equipment. The first one is the starts with the freshman year. It's the student one-to-one laptop program. The units that are ordered are based on family applications that go out in the spring. The PEPPM Collaborative Purchasing Program was used as the procurement. And the students pay for these devices over 4 years. So the student cost for Model 1 and 2 is $852.89 for Model 1 and $411.62 for Model 2. The difference between those models is really memory and storage. So the annual lease payments is $52,733.50, and that would be paid for from the payments from the students, and that's in the revolving account for the laptop. The second lease is for teacher laptop replacements at the middle school, loaners for the high school, and the middle school graphics lab. And this is about 280 units with their accessories and AppleCare. Same collaborative, the PEPPM, was used for the procurement, and the annual lease payments is $111, $119, and 69 cents. And the funding for this lease comes from the operating budget in the technology lines.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions on that? Okay.
So the units for the one-to-one laptop program, at the end of the lease, what happens to those computers? Do the students own them at that point?
The students own them. That's correct.
Now, is that an opt-in program?
Yes.
Okay, so a student who has a laptop isn't, about how many people do we have participate in it? Just curious.
I'd have to look at the numbers.
I was
but
kind of trying to do some math. I'm not good at it.
The majority do. Yes. And
That's
the ones that choose the model that has a higher memory and storage capacity, their intent is for their student to keep it all the way through college. So we do have a high participation rate.
Until it's obsolete.
I have heard anecdotally, because I think we started this with the class of 2016 was the first one-to-one. Yeah, random fact, but I had a kid in that grade. But what I have heard anecdotally is that students that have other devices that are not Apple devices are able to do not have trouble with their devices doing the same things. The leases offer an opportunity for some people who might want an Apple device, but to get into it in a more affordable way. I think, and to also have some support from the technology in the school.
And equity.
Is there a plan or process that's in place that would support students that may be financially challenged?
So financial assistance does not apply for the one-to-one program.
We do have loaners, though, correct?
We do have loaners.
That kids are allowed to use that don't have their own device.
Sure.
I also do see periodically devices that the school is either returned from lease or done with that are then sold at a fairly low cost for
Correct.
We just had a whole bunch of Chromebooks that were in that situation, right? Yeah.
And I think that happens with the Apples as well sometimes.
When we get to the end of lease, as you've seen, we keep several of them, and we use those as loaners. But at some point, you're rotating that stock, and then it is offered to the community at very reduced prices.
Yeah.
Always an excellent question to be able to highlight for people at home.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that everybody's able to have access to it.
It's an equity issue. Okay, so is there a motion that somebody would like to make regarding the Apple lease?
That we approve the lease.
Okay, the two lease programs.
The two leases.
Okay, so motion by Susan, is there a second on that?
Second.
Second by Holly, all those in favor?
Yes.
Aye. And that is unanimous and passes. Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you, Amanda. Oh, you know what, actually, because you're remote, we should do that as a roll call vote. I'm sorry. So Susan, I'm going to
I was
start.
wondering about that, yeah.
Susan, going to start with you.
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Holly? Amanda?
Aye.
I am also an aye. And again, back to thank you for all the work that I know goes into that. I know it's not just appearing quickly like that, like it does in our packet. So. All right, so that then brings us into old business and the liaison roles that we had been waiting to discuss. I don't know if people have had an opportunity to look at those. I have to rotate that page on my screen here and increase the size of the font. Okay, so the first couple, the media spokesperson is technically, we don't generally speak on behalf of to make comments to the media, but that is technically something that typically falls to the chair or the superintendent. I thankfully have not had, when we were doing the masking piece, there were some opportunities when the media did want to talk to us. Not as often, at the local media sometimes. Same with the legislative liaison, although I know, our legislators really do like to talk and to interact with people in general. The Budget Advisory Group is a group that the chair of the school committee, the select board, and the appropriations committee starts meeting right in September. Sometimes we try to sneak a meeting in earlier, along with the town finance director, the town manager, as well as kind of Susan and Carol on the other side. And that's to help get us so that we're on hopefully as much of the same page by the time we go from September till the time we come to January. It did seem like this past year was a little more challenging, and I'm hoping that we can tighten that up a little bit so that we're not facing surprises when we get to January. More communication is better.
Thank you for your work on that too.
Thank you. The policy review working group is a really important one. It seems like that meets fairly often, but you don't have a typical schedule. And I know, Amanda, you have done some really fabulous work with the policy. Can you estimate about how often you guys meet or you have met?
Sure. I think it really does vary, but we tend to meet, I don't know, maybe Carol could probably speak to this, maybe like monthly normally. During the SBC2, it's been a little bit different because there's been so many meetings, and Jen and I were both on it. So Jen was also on the SBC2, as was Carol. So there were a lot of meetings this year that made it harder to schedule some of the policy meetings. But generally speaking, maybe monthly, and we try to meet. At the moment, we're meeting early in the morning before work, but that, we could flex that probably if needed.
And that's, we take 2 school committee members because we don't want to have a quorum working on the policy before we bring it to the school committee. And just for folks at home, the policy really is a core function of the school committee. It's really, one of the few things called out by the legislator and what we do. So it is, important. I just want to go through these and then we can kind of come back to who is interested in which things specifically. The school committee minutes review, we are very fortunate because Georgette does the minutes from home, not from home, but from not the studio. And the minutes from our public sessions come here, but our executive sessions are not obviously televised, and so we do need somebody who's willing to do the minutes in the executive session and work with Georgette to get them ready to come back and be reviewed in an executive session. Irvine Tadaro committee is that. I don't think met last year, but the Irvine Tadaro property is the property that is where the Marathon School is and then where the proposed Elmwood School replacement is. It was a group looking at what else to be done on that property.
So the scope is kind of just looking at what's there and what might come?
Right. So at one point there was discussion about putting a bus parking lot there, for example. That didn't come to be for a number of reasons. But, we're looking at the fact that that property, and I forget which, it's the Tadaro property, is where the Elmwood School is that right? Or is it the other way around?
I get them mixed up as well.
One is Irvine, one is Tadaro,
Yep.
but that when the town purchased that property, one of the stated purposes was to potentially put a school down there. It came up at about the same time we were discussing the Marathon School. So that is a not quite as heavy load, but it does require that we have somebody who is sworn in at town hall and is willing to jump in when they do meet. Tech, our voting member, is Dr. Kavanaugh. And then the mayor, and we voted that this year already, correct?
I believe we did.
The Marathon Fund Committee, I'll let you speak to that because you were on that this past year.
Yeah, it's like we get money from the BAA, and it's kind of stipulated that it be used toward athletics within Hopkinton Public Schools. And so most of the money goes to scholarships to athletes, to Hopkinton Public School athletes. But also sometimes there's other requests. I think the only stipulation is that they have to be athletic related or athletic adjacent. So it's a really wonderful group of people.
It's a fun thing, giving money away.
Right, it's always good. Nobody's yelling at us for giving scholarships.
Right. I do have the dates that's going to meet in the fall. The first date for that is going to be Tuesday, September 12th, and then Tuesday, October 17th, and then Tuesday, November 14th. So
they meet once a month, yeah. And they're usually very short meetings. They're not super long meetings.
So Tuesday availability, though, I think would be key for whoever would like to do that. We do not have a campus planning committee at this point, so we can pass by that. The elementary school building committee requires 2 of us. One is the voting member, and one is somebody else an alternate who can step in. And I believe the alternate also has to be sworn in, or no?
I think yes.
Yep.
Because they'll have to vote at some point.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
right. So that there's always at least one voting member who's there on behalf of the committee.
Nancy, can I ask you just a question on the campus building committee?
Sure.
Should we be disbanding that at this point? Is it a
Yes.
holdover?
It's a holdover, and I do think that we should bring that back to disband that.
Okay, we should put that on agenda item.
Yeah, I think we should pull that back to do a separate motion on that.
Okay, perfect, thanks.
But thank you, because I think that was just last year. A year ago, we thought we were going to be doing that, and then that kind of folded into a little bit different. All right, the turf field committee, and I'll let Holly, because you were the chair of the turf field committee this past year.
Yeah, I learned nothing about turf, so don't go into it with that expectation. But I did learn a lot about how our properties are maintained, and a lot of the stuff we talk about is we have outside people that rent our turf, and how we ensure that our turf is kept in good shape, and making sure we're being fair with how we charge it, and how we keep it looking good and safe for our kiddos. It's also an excellent group of people that all know, if you are on it, you will know the least amount of turf. Everybody else knows more. So just be prepared to be humble if you think you know a lot about turf, because you do not.
Is there a particular day that tends to meet?
We didn't, I think we only met 3 or 4 times. Susan's on this committee with me, right? 3 or 4 times this year?
It would typically be maybe twice a year in the
Yeah.
fall and the spring.
Our next one is in September. I don't remember the exact date, but it doesn't meet again until September.
Okay, so that.
Thank you.
That is a good one too. Then the next one is a youth commission. Amanda, am I correct? You've been doing that more recently.
I was supposed to pick that up, but I haven't actually connected with them, unfortunately. So I think Holly has the most recent information. I think there were, since I picked it up, I think there's been one meeting and I didn't get there.
Okay. I feel like they're Tuesdays as
Right.
well. It's Tuesdays.
They're like a once a month.
And they Zoom. Is that correct?
There's been a lot of changing of members and people, so I'm not quite sure if they have a regular schedule set up.
Okay. And I believe, is the chair still a high school student?
Yeah, which is the coolest part of
Yeah.
it, I think.
Opportunity for
Yeah.
them. And an opportunity to work with high school students.
Yeah.
The next one is the planning board. They meet on Mondays. Being the liaison to the planning board does not require that you go to every single meeting, but to follow along in the agenda and to see where things are coming up that might be related to the school, and then to go and, I don't know if they have a Zoom option or not, but to be able to kind of provide that back and forth between what's going on with the planning board and what's going on here when our interests intersect. Okay, so the appropriation committee is typically, because that goes within the budget advisory group, that is typically the chair, as well as the select board and capital improvements. CPAC, I know we've done a lot of, I think everybody knows what CPAC is doing, and that's been an important piece, I think, of, in particular, the past year, really, as they've really grown they've grown their membership and their board, and we've been working to obviously to improve how we do things with CPAC. If there is this liaison does a monthly meeting with the administration and the CPAC chair and vice chair, as well as the student services director. Hopkinton.
Sorry, Nancy, on the CPAC liaison, does that have to be available to meet during the day typically, because there are meetings with the board administration?
Yes, that it does, because those meetings take place in the morning. I suppose it could potentially be afternoon, although I think for CPAC that's more challenging because they have kiddos to worry about after school.
Right, okay, thank you.
And then, although, there might be ways to work around that. There's not like a set date that it's going to happen every month. It's just the liaison, it's their responsibility, and the school committee liaison, it's their responsibility to make sure that meeting happens and to set that up. So, and the last we met was May 18th, I think, and holding off on another meeting until Abby starts on July 1. Okay, so the Hopkinton Organized for Prevention. Amanda, do you want to speak to that? Because I know, or do you?
Holly's our liaison.
Yep.
Yeah, that is, the focus is substance use prevention and also education within the community. So there's movie screenings, there's events, there's lots and they do so much work. We have a dedicated substance use prevention, I don't know what the word would be, person that it works for the community, and that's the focus of their job, and they run this committee. It's an excellent committee and they do outstanding work in the community. I think the meetings are like once a month, sometimes every other week. It's not a huge time commitment, but the work is excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, did you say what day?
I think it changes.
Okay.
It's typically like a Wednesday from like 4 to 5.
Okay.
So it can be like a after work thing, but it's also always hybrid. So there's always a Zoom component.
Okay, so that's a great way to make it more accessible.
Yeah.
Sustainable Green Community, and Amanda, I know that is you, right?
That is me. Yes, they meet the first Monday of the month. It's a great committee. They're very plugged into the ESPC2 work, and there's a lot of sort of overlap, and they have a lot of interest in what we're doing in terms of anything that's climate focused and energy focused. So it's typically when you're at the meeting, they often ask for any updates from the schools about anything that would be of interest to them, and then I just kind of hang out for the meeting and weigh in here and there as things come up.
Great, thank you. And I know they were interested in the composting that started up at the high school at the beginning of this school year, as well as the different choices that have been made on the ESBC project. LPAC is the English Learners Parent Advisory Council, and that is a great group that has really just taken off in the past year. They just recently had a meeting to elect their new board members, which is really, they're a great dynamic group. They have lots of attendance at their meetings, and they're really, I have enjoyed doing that just because it's a fun feel-good group of parents looking to plug into the schools. Some of them are newer to the district, some of them have been here longer, and really I like the way they're really working to help each other out, and they like hearing from the school committee on different things that are going on here to help as newer members are transitioning into the school. Some of them have only been here a couple months, some of them have been here several years. Okay, so that those are all the ones we have up for discussion tonight. Are there particular roles that people know that they are most interested in? So we can, and if there are multiple people, we can have a discussion, for a particular role. But are there things that people have been thinking about that they know they would like to do?
In looking at the list, there's quite a bit of opportunity.
Yeah.
I find myself gravitating to two areas. I find myself gravitating to CPAC and to the HOP. I think those are both very important areas to focus on. And I think my own personality, my own nature is such that I would gravitate towards those kind of groups.
Behavioral health background is like invaluable for the HOP group.
Yeah, well, I think it carries over for both, groups.
I agree, yeah.
But yeah, especially we see in the hospital, we have folks of all ages that come out with substance use disorder. So I think that just having that background understanding would be valuable in that role.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing I do just before, people, if anybody's feeling a little bit shy about any of them, we do come back mid-year. If it feels like something that you've taken on is not working out with your schedule or commitment, you can bring it back at any time. But we do a mid-year check-in to say, okay, and we did shuffle a couple around this year, mid-year. So just that's a piece. Amanda, I'm hoping that you're looking to still do the policy review working group, at least as one of the people doing that, because that's a real strength of yours.
Yes, I love that group. We also have a couple of policies that are sort of in motion, so with the staff conduct and a few other things, so I would love to stay on that. So I'm definitely game for that. And then, that's really the one that I'm most excited about, but anything else I'm open to. My time constraints are mostly, though, either virtual during the day or at night for meetings.
And that's definitely something that can be worked around, I know, to figure your schedule with the group.
I'm interested in policy. If neither of my other colleagues are interested in it, I'm kind of open to whatever. I like the groups I sat on. If somebody else is interested, I'm open to that either. I want everybody to go where they're happy.
I would like to, you know, it is a big time commitment, the ESBC too, because they do meet every other week.
Yeah.
But I have been doing that for a couple weeks since we did the transition over from the last iteration of the school committee. I would be interested in staying on as the voting member, but would like to have somebody as an alternate who's interested in the school project, who would be able to.
I think I'd be lost in the school project.
That's okay. That's okay. We don't also have to vote all of them. If people want to think about that a little bit too, we can, you know, start off and we can come back to this the next time. I will put my name by there since nobody's jumping.
Sorry, Nancy, for that one, it would be great to have somebody whose term does not end next year, I think, because it would, you know, someone who has a little bit more longevity in their term for continuity. Otherwise, I would potentially be your backup, but I don't think it's a good choice for someone whose term is ending.
Okay.
That's a good idea. That's a good point, Amanda.
Fair enough. You guys can think about that. Well, not pointing any fingers. We can come back to that, though.
I too would be interested in policy and CPAC, as well as HOP. But I'll take whatever you put me on.
Oh, that's a very dangerous thing to say.
But nothing that involves numbers. Now, please remember, I was an English teacher. Numbers scare me.
I don't think you have to. I don't think there's a lot of numbers so far.
I would probably
be
be very comfortable on the marathon or the marathon fund committee.
Okay, you want to?
But Holly's like.
You would be excellent on that committee. Don't worry about me.
I find policy interesting too.
Okay, so what about anybody interested in the school committee meeting minutes?
I'll take care of that one.
Great, thank you.
English teacher.
Thank you very much. I can't always spell because if I have to use my thumbs.
Okay, but spell check takes care of a lot of it.
Yeah, I know. Thumbs don't
You don't have to know how to spell anything.
What about the Irvine Tadaro committee? Anybody want to?
I'll do that. I don't know what it is. I'll learn nothing about Irvine Tadaro. It'll go with my turf knowledge.
I'm not sure there's a huge learning curve on that because it's as things come up and needed. You may be needed, you may not.
Right. A lot of land.
Now that I've said that, it'll probably be.
It will be
a
every week.
committee
It'll
that
be like, now we have to meet weekly for several hours.
Okay, so in that one requires a visit to the town clerk's office to get sworn in.
I can do that, yeah.
Okay, what have we not covered? Do we have a turf? Is that something that?
If somebody else is interested in it, I don't mind staying on it. It's whatever. If you guys are interested in turf, I'm fine. What did I just do?
Okay, so Nancy, did you say the turf field?
I did say the turf field.
Is that what you're on?
That's what we're on now, yes.
And when does that meet again?
That typically meets in the mid-morning, is that?
Our next meeting is at 9 a.m. I do know that.
Okay.
It's a virtual meeting, so it can be done anywhere. You don't have to go someplace.
Okay, so and that might make a difference.
And they're not long meetings. I think our longest has been like 45 minutes. They're not typically very long meetings.
And just as a heads up for anybody who takes that position, it is typically the school committee liaison who ends up being the chair of it.
The person that knows the most about
because it should be an elected. It should be an elected just official position that does it, and the only elected people on there are Parks and Rec and the school committee. So it frequently does end up being the school committee member.
I learned a lot about a lot of things.
You're going to do it? You're going to do it again? Or?
I do not. I don't mind. If one of you has an interest in it, I'm going to be very happy.
I do have a fabulous yard.
Yeah. If you want to teach that, if you want to teach them about some stuff.
They maybe have tips for you.
I mean, I don't want to sort of overstep if that's something
You're definitely not overstepping.
Turf.
Well, you have to be careful with turf when you're stepping over.
I know because a couple years ago before Holly did it, I did do it, and some of the things that came up are, approving different repair work that might need to be done, setting policy for cleats and seeds on the field and things that they don't want to damage the turf.
There's like a lot of interesting logistical considerations too about what happens if somebody's renting the field before a snowstorm or after snow. Like, how do we manage those things?
I've had some interactions with that department from my role on the marathon committee, because we're typically using the fields for the athletes' village. So I have some familiarity with folks that might be on that committee, and I would be comfortable kind of learning that role.
Awesome.
Okay. All right, so that then brings us down to Youth Commission. Is there somebody who feels?
I probably, if Amanda doesn't want to continue doing it, I probably would be fairly good at that.
Okay.
I think Susan would be great at that.
I think so too. Sold. Okay, so that then brings us into the planning board. Is there?
I'm not interested in planning. Boring.
I'm gonna hope you're not quoted in the local news as saying that.
You mean you love the planning board? You just
I love the candor.
Cander's excellent. But we can leave that if nobody feels as strong.
I think Amanda would really like to continue that, doesn't she? I mean, it fits because planning board meets at night.
So I certainly, if Amanda would like to continue.
I'm not hearing her saying yes.
I could potentially take that as well. I mean, the nice thing with the planning board is you're able to look at the agenda and figure out when the schools are in it, so you don't have to go to every meeting.
I don't mind doing planning board either.
You only have to be there when they're talking about schools.
Yeah.
Oh.
So did I hear your?
Unless Amanda wants to keep it.
I feel like Amanda's.
I think
she's like, oh,
I'm
no,
sorry,
I can't.
you're breaking up. No, I'm kidding.
Gee. How many hats are sitting there on Amanda's seat right now?
Oh no,
I think
she hung up.
Oh no, we lost her.
This is what happens when you do hybrid.
Yeah. Okay, so back to CPAC. I know Adam had expressed interest as well. And
is she here?
Oh, maybe she is here because I did just hear the elevator. So if we're going to assign her to anything, that
just tell her to her
just
face.
Put her in quickly, right?
Yeah, right now. Quick, spread her down there.
It is. We were just guessing that the come over. Don't want to.
I thought it was like,
you might not take those hats off your chair, though.
While we knew you were in the elevator, we passed on a few ones.
Oh, did you? Thank you. Apologies for the wait.
Okay, so I know both Adam and Susan have expressed interest in CPAC, so we can wait till we get to the end and circle back, or we can come back to that next week as well. Well, by next week, I mean July.
July 6th, I think.
I know, I don't want to give them.
Plus, you're going to have to redefine the list of who volunteered to do what.
Oh, Georgette will definitely have it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. It'll probably be there by the time we get home.
What's happening?
So then that brings us down to Hopkinton Organized for Prevention, although I put that down already as Adam. Is that?
Yeah, that's what he's doing.
Right,
he's a perfect fit.
Okay. Sustainable Green.
I love the sustainable green.
That's why I was looking at you.
They do amazing work.
They're an amazing committee. They're amazingly organized, and they're moving the ball forward.
I'm glad.
Yeah. Okay, and then LPAC. I am happy to continue with LPAC. I do like that group, unless there's somebody who would really like it. I don't want to take that if there's somebody who's been dying to do that. Okay.
I wouldn't mind it coming to a couple meetings just to get a sense of it.
Well, that might be a good, come to a couple meetings, and then that would be a good opportunity next year if you want to step into that role too. It is a good group. They're all good groups. There really isn't a group on here that I wouldn't enjoy working with the people.
Appropriations. You're going to keep that, and Amanda's going to remain your alternate?
So the alternate piece, we need to vote on the vice chair would be the piece for that, because that goes along with the role.
Oh, okay.
So let's just, what I have for notes here, I have Adam potentially as CPAC along with HOP. I have policy review. I have Amanda, and Holly, I had that you had, was there somebody else who said?
Susan said as well, she was interested in that as well.
For policy.
Yep, so. Good. All right, and then Holly, I have you on Irvine Tadaro for sure.
Yeah.
There were nobody else that was looking for that. Susan, I have you on Marathon Fund as
Yes.
well as school committee meeting minutes.
Yes.
Adam, I have you turf, and I have a feeling you're also going to come back and be the chair of the turf in September when they do that.
You'll do a better job than I did. I assure you.
Take care of turf.
And then Susan, I have you on the youth commission.
Okay.
Got Holly for the planning board, sustainable green for Amanda, and I've got LPAC as well as ESBC, 2 for me. We do need one more ESBC alternate. We can come back to that next week. So the ones that I still have that we're figuring out, ESBC 2, and then CPAC. Was there one? Oh, and the, as well as the policy review. Those are the 3 that we have not. Do people want to think about that between now and, well, policy review may need to meet between now and then.
We really do need to meet.
So I think we should probably determine that.
We've been holding up.
All right, so let's think in terms of making sure we're dividing it up as equitably as we can so that nobody comes back in a couple months and feels burned out. And that it makes sense.
I will say that, sort of like ESBC too, it'd be nice to have continuity.
Yep.
Yeah, if I would say that if Susan, if you want to work on policy, that should be where you work. That's fine with me. I'm not gonna.
Okay, thank you.
You don't have to thank me.
All right, so Susan, I've got you, Marathon Fund, school committee meeting minutes, and policy working group. Okay. All right, and then do we want to come back and think about CPAC at our next meeting, or do we want to go? Okay, so Adam, it looks like you now own the liaison role for CPAC. And I know that there will need to be a meeting set up for July. Do you want me to kind of bridge that over and come to the July meeting with you? And then.
Sure.
Okay, and then I think we're okay for now. Is that policy? We did pick up. All right, my apologies. All right, so then I would like to circle back to the top of the agenda, and now that this is actually a very exciting time because it's the first time the 5 of us have been in the room together to be able to go through some of these things. So we had initially started to discuss the nominations for the vice chair on the first meeting when we reorganized, and we were going to come back to it so that we have a moment now. I think people probably will recall the process that we go through for this, which is that we start and we, do we want to have some discussion about it before we get to nominations, or do we want to jump right in? I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm just not so familiar with the role.
Oh, okay, that is an excellent question. So the vice chair role, a couple of things. So the chair and the vice chair work very closely, and Amanda has done, both, this year has been the vice chair and has jumped in with a lot of times when you've stepped in had run meetings when I wasn't, or been able to do, your work that you've brought forward. You're really stepping in with your knowledge of like the contracts, and I'm trying to think, how would you best use?
How would I describe the vice chair role?
It's
I can
fluid,
describe
it's
the vice chair role.
flexible. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
The vice chair role, I think, but first and foremost, if the chair is absent, the vice chair steps in. So that is, I think, the first and most important responsibility. We have a very consistent and dependable chair, so that doesn't happen very often, which is great. We do agenda planning for the meetings. So we take, whatever needs to be talked about plus whatever people want on the agenda planning and work out the agendas with Dr. Kavanaugh
usually in the morning, the week before the meeting. And for continuity, in the places where the chair is the liaison, the vice chair is the backup, because it just provides that continuity. What I would say is most important for the vice chair would just be being prepared to guide the school committee in executing the 3 main functions that we have, which is budget, policy, and superintendent evaluation, and then running the meetings, because the chair really is a servant of the committee. As you know, the chair does, the vice chair does not do anywhere near what the chair does. The vice chair just sits on standby. But if you do get tapped, it is a servant role. So it's coordinating meetings and schedules and being able to be the voice to answer our emails and to that sort of thing. So that's what the chair does, and the vice chair is kind of on standby and prepared to do that.
One heartbeat away, something like that.
I think that's by design. Otherwise, the vice chair and the chair are just members like everybody else, except for those servant roles of coordinating and admin, doing admin.
That actually is I think, a big piece that I think the public at home maybe doesn't understand as much as that the chair really serves at the will of what the committee needs in the moment to provide logistical support as well as just administrative type stuff. Is that any other questions? I think that what's challenging here is that I think we all value both Holly and Amanda, who have expressed interest in the role of the chair. And I think for me personally, that's a hard thing to kind of think. I think you would both be really excellent at the role. I value, I would say, I think Amanda probably has more experience than I do in some of the things, and I lean on you a lot for that reason. But I think this is at the will of what the committee as a whole wants. So that would be.
Yeah. And procedurally, somebody from the committee nominates somebody besides themselves.
Yes.
And then we don't need a second, right?
That's correct.
And then we vote. We vote on that nomination, so.
Right. Is there somebody who would like to make a motion or a nomination?
And it's a 1-year term?
It is.
1-year term? And I'm not, how much time do the two of you have left? Is it 1 year, 2
We're
years?
both done next year.
Next year.
Your term ends. It doesn't mean that you're definitely done. I don't want anyone to commit to that.
That makes it difficult.
Which piece?
It does. We have a young committee. I mean, honestly, it does make it difficult because our committee's young.
It makes it very difficult because you two, your terms are ending, both of you. And I think I would share Adam's, but Adam and I would both agree that I don't think either of us would be in a position to do that. I don't know.
Oh, they're gonna come back, trust me.
Yeah. I like your rationale, but it is typically somebody who's been on the committee for a year. Is that what you're?
Well, yeah, it's like, it's like handing the limousine to a new driver.
Well, there is, I think, almost everybody that I have talked to, and certainly I can speak from my own experience, the first year on the committee is like every new cycle as we're going into budget is a new piece sitting in this chair. So that's,
is there, just for a point of discussion, is there, obviously I understand the value of continuity. Is there a value point in changing that?
I definitely, I think in an ideal world, again, our committee's a little bit different because, Holly has had this is your second year. So normally, like when, I wouldn't have approached that myself when I was, in the first couple of years because you're still learning the job. I mean, normally I think we'd have a little bit more seasoned people on the, we wouldn't have just two people who've had more seasoning. I've been on the train, it's the fumes, I don't know. But I think because you picked up the part of a term, and you two are both new in first term, it just is a little bit different, because I do think there is value in having somebody sort of apprentice for the idea of being a chair. There is value in that.
Yep.
I think given the composition of the committee, we don't have as much of a feeder pool, right, that's a seasoned with, a full term under their belt. So that is, I think that is what, if I can speak for all of us, I think if people are not sure which way to go, I think that factor is relevant, because I think the value of continuity and having somebody overlap, and that's why we have terms that aren't all ending at the same time. It's a real concern, and yet, when there are times when the chair has to step in, the experience is valuable. So it's kind of a mixed bag. I understand why there's a struggle in thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it, I'm wondering, and forward-looking here, and I'm sort of predicating this on the fact that you will both be back, and to have a shared level of experience, to be able to have multiple people that could potentially step into that role. But I'll tell you what, I'm not going to be ready for the end of my term, but next time around, maybe I want to gain that experience so that eventually I could step into a role like that, perhaps. So I'm thinking it's sort of that. What's the word I'm looking at? The role of having sort of multiple people prepared to be in that position.
I agree.
Rather than just, sort of the heir apparent. If that makes any sense to folks.
I'd say, like when I express interest, there's no ego about it. I just think I have a different perspective. I have 2 children in elementary schools, which is a lot of the work we're discussing as far as the ESBC. I kind of interact differently with the stakeholders. I sit on the state board, the MSC board for special education. But I always would defer to the committee, because my one perspective is not valued unless it's in a collective sense, right? Like I'm one of many. So I would defer to whatever the will of the board is, and it is, I will not be sad, I will be fine, I will live my life. I've dealt with very difficult things, and this is not going to be among them. So I would defer to...
Not even in the top 10?
It's not. I have a list, and this doesn't make the list. So, so I would say I do not wish this to become a polarizing topic. I very much want a board that is able to function together, and I don't want it to be a situation where you guys are put in a position that you do not wish to be put in. So I will say I have no ego about this at all. I wish for the 2 of you, which I think it seems like now it's kind of on your shoulders, and I don't
Or
want
Nancy.
that.
I mean,
I think
or make it
right, and that's what this is how I think about it, right? Like I have a different perspective. I think I could do the job well, but at the same time, it doesn't matter what I think, because I am a part of a committee of 5.
And I think that's like a really big piece that I don't know that everybody at home always understands, is that no one of us has any power or any authority on our own. The power of the committee rests in the committee.
Yeah, that's how I do everything. I offer my opinion. If it does not carry the day, my opinion is that just lives in me, and that's fine.
And I think the only thing that I'll say, and I also, I've been chair, I've years of just being a member, and it's fine, I've been vice chair, it doesn't matter. I think the will of the committee is why we do it this way.
Yeah.
But I do think the only thing that the vice chair and the chair do that's different from anybody else is make sure that the committee executes its functions. And I think as we look at, how we bring our perspectives to our votes and everything, we're all even in all of that. It's just being able to administer the work of the committee. And so that is where I think experience helps. So that's really the only distinction. I mean, I think the rest of it, all the actual work that we do as a committee, we all bring our unique viewpoints and our experience and our discussions with community and whatnot. So,
and just for clarity, that neither the chair nor the vice chair makes decisions for the committee without the committee's authorization. So that, an example would be if the committee wanted to have one person speak on a particular thing, or if there was typically, even when we've done press releases, I wouldn't be comfortable putting a press release out without the committee having the opportunity to meet and discuss it. So that's sort of a challenging piece, but it's not, not a singular voice in there. And I think to Holly's point, I think we've been at awkward standpoints in selecting a chair or a vice chair, and I think we do always move past it. I think we're all a good group of mature adults that are not going to, whatever happens tonight is the will of the committee, will be the will of the committee, and the next time we meet, I think we'll probably all have.
We'll be okay.
Yeah.
I think 2 seconds after we place the vote, we'll be fine.
That's okay.
I mean, really.
Yes, okay.
It's like the Band-Aid.
Rip it off. Yep.
I mean, I'm personally torn because I think both of you would make fantastic co-chairs, and I think for me that's really where the struggle comes in. It's a difficult decision.
We do need a vice chair. We really do need to make this decision. That is one thing I will say. I really hope we don't leave this meeting with
how much does
somebody.
The vice chair help? The load is going to be, it seems to me, heavy this year.
So that loads on the chair.
With the budget and Elmwood, and the vice chair doesn't help her carry that?
Not really, because if you're on an ESBC, I mean, really the vice, it's administrative. It's what's on the agenda. Are we doing the superintendent's evaluation? Are we doing policy? Are we covering our bases? That it's administrative. It's not. It's really about getting the work.
It's going to be a tough year.
There will be another ESBC 2 liaison. I do know that next time we come back, somebody's going to have woken up in the morning and thought, wow, I want to do it.
I love elementary.
Don't worry.
Do you want to do it? Did I hear you just say you want to do it?
Oh, I would absolutely do it.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. I think we have a second ESBC.
Yeah.
But that aside, I want to kind of circle back to the chair, the vice chair, just because I do want to make sure that that's we've done that tonight.
Given that Holly said she will be the backup on ESBC 2, did I say that correctly?
You did.
I'm going to nominate Amanda.
So since we doesn't require a second on that, I'm going to go right into a vote. And since we're all here, I think we can do, unless anybody particularly wants a roll call vote, I think we can just do a consensus. Okay, so all those in favor of Amanda becoming the new vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay. All right, then. Gotta get my
ESBC 2 sounds like an Easter Bunny kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a big heavy.
It's a big basket of eggs.
I know I was being a little bit quick on that, but are you really interested? I would love to have you as a backup.
I have a daughter that's in the school,
Yes,
so I have
which is
very intimate knowledge of the school, and it's many deficiencies.
That's fabulous. Okay. So then, do we want to vote on the liaison roles, though? I feel like now feel like we have a full slate.
Do we have to vote? We have to
We
vote.
do.
CPAC?
Adam's going to do
Adam's
CPAC.
CPAC, okay.
right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I missed
All right,
that.
so I'll go back through. So Adam is taking CPAC and HOP. Amanda, I have you doing policy review as well as sustainable green. Holly, I've got you doing, and I apologize if I'm jumping around, my list is a little scattered here. I have you doing Irvine Todaro as well as the alternate for ESBC 2, as well as the planning board. Did I miss anything on that? Okay. And then I have Susan, I've got you doing the Marathon Fund, the school committee meeting minutes. Is that, did we?
And policy.
In policy, right? Is that, yep. Okay. And then, Adam, did I also say I've got you down for turf? I don't think I actually said that out loud.
Yes.
Okay.
It carried across telepathic.
Yeah, and then Susan, you're doing the youth commission, and then I was going to pick up LPAC again. Okay. I think I got them all.
That's good.
Okay, so I would then seek a motion to approve the liaison roles as discussed for the 2023-2024 school year.
I make the motion that we accept the slate as presented.
Excellent. So a motion by Adam. Is there a second? Second by Susan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and that brings us then down into the school committee norms and protocols. Just, again, for a little bit of background, we revisit this every single year so that it can be adopted as what this iteration of the school committee wants. There have been years when we have taken the document from the year before and we've accepted it in its entirety. There have been years when we have scrapped it entirely and taken none of it. And then there have been years where we've taken bits and pieces. I believe this document from 2022 and 2023 that's in the packet, we used the bulk of that the year before as well. Is that your recollection as well?
And I think it originated on MASC. It was an MASC model originally. Prior to that, we had written them from scratch. And then we found this and thought, why did we write them from scratch? This is a better starting point.
And this is a more comprehensive list of norms and beliefs and how we want to operate as a committee than the one that we had used prior. So, and I was, in my vision, we were not going to actually approve this tonight, but to discuss it and to think about what we wanted to add in or take out from the document as it exists. So do we want to go chronologically kind of from the beginning? If there are things on the first page that people have that they want to call out as either they like or things that they would like to pull out that they don't like or things they'd like to add.
I'll just, we tend to say this sadly often, but I think on the bottom, number 2, we've had different meeting schedules at different times, and sometimes we don't have time in advance of a meeting to get questions in, but ideally, I think the way it works well and the way it's written here is that if there is a topic on the agenda that we have questions on, it's very helpful to send them to the superintendent. This is 2 days prior. We try. Any amount prior is better than none, because I think it gives the superintendent an opportunity to then relay those out to whoever needs to answer them and get the information. It's tough to ask questions in the meeting with no heads up, because
like
often
I do to Susan with how many people?
Yes.
I like calling that out because I know that, it's, or particularly like you said, last year, our meetings, we had a lot of added in meetings that we were off of our normal schedule. I think we had more the year before though, to be fair. But if we can get the questions, even if we're not going to get answers ahead of time, that gives the staff an opportunity to research it and hopefully be able to have information for us in the meeting without having the discussion behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, I think having some time to prepare to answer a question or questions is prudent. That way we're sure that we're getting accurate data and not just kind of an ad hoc answer. I think when I read through this document today, I think that there was language in there that talked about, that's what we're going to strive for, but there could be an opportunity, a one-off or something that's, I think they worded something that's so pressing that it has to be brought up. So, I mean, I think there's, the striving for that, to having those questions ahead of time is prudent, but there may be those times when, certainly, the most preparation that you can have, the better.
I think the other thing that happens sometimes is sometimes we'll be having a conversation and something, I know for me, something somebody else says sparks something that I didn't think of before the meeting. It's not possible to always know ahead of time, but there are some times when I look at the packet and I think, gee, we're going to be talking about turf, I need to know, or, the Apple lease or whatever, I need more information on that.
Actually, reading through it, I had more questions about,
Excellent.
like, I'm looking at number 5.
Yep. The school committee members agree to refer important questions and concerns.
Right,
they
so
receive.
that and that if you're talking with someone and they bring something to your attention, now that is something that I should refer to you and/or Dr. Kavanaugh and say, listen, somebody was just talking to me about this and it seems important.
So, and I think a lot of times it has to do with whose purview it falls under. So, like, periodically I'll have somebody that will come to me and they'll have a really specific concern about something in the school. And I always like to listen to community members. And I know that other people have community members reaching out on different things. But in terms of the operational things, who's actually able to solve it is usually not a school committee member. And it also goes back to,
it needs to kind of clear through you that, like, that I'm not supposed to pick up the phone and say, Dr. Kavanaugh, hey.
So you can send things to Dr. Kavanaugh. I mean, you can't. She may not always be available if you call her out, like cold call her. But if you're hearing something directly, I think it probably makes the most sense to, rather than to kind of go from me to her. I mean, always people can always reach out, and I'm happy to.
Yeah, I just wondered if it was kind of like so that you don't get I forget the term.
Blindsided?
Thank you very much. I forgot that one. Blindsided.
Yeah, I mean, that's always, Okay. But truly, I think that, to me, the biggest intent behind that is that oftentimes it's important to be able to listen to people and to listen to their concerns, and it helps inform what we're doing.
And I find that more and more people talking and saying, oh, you're, and I'm sure you've all had that happen 1,000 times. The other question I had, like, say for number 6, about channeling Quest. For example, if I was interested in looking at the English curriculum.
I would not be the person for that.
No, but that's something I channel through. Can I?
We typically go directly to
So I could go directly to Mr. LeBrod and say,
no, we go
Dr. Kavanaugh.
She channels it to the right person.
And she sends it to him, and then he sends it to whomever. Okay.
It gets to the right person eventually.
Okay. Chan can handle most.
Okay.
That's exactly
That's it.
I will say, the one thing that's confusing now that you bring up about this is that, I mean, any of us can, if we have a question, particularly if it's on an agenda item or whatever, but, or something comes up, we can alert Dr. Kavanaugh. It always says here, copy the chair, and I worry that could end up with a serial conversation.
Yeah, that's why I was...
I agree, and I think the serial conversations can be inadvertent, so that if you call me and you say, you whatever the topic is, I might say, you probably shouldn't talk about that because I already talked to somebody, or whatever the case may be in that.
Yeah.
And in those cases, you're better off emailing it to Dr. Kavanaugh. If I haven't talked to somebody about something and it's not a serial conversation, sometimes.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that serial conversation.
Right, we can never.
We weren't talking about Kellogg's cornflakes or something.
But I think, and we have to, this is a norm. This is not a law. This is we are just agreeing on how we operate. And I think we have to have faith that I think it is good for each of us to be able to communicate with the superintendent. But if you get inundated and you need a different practice, we have to trust that you'll bring that back to the committee and say, you know, my good faith effort to like talk to all of you, it's too much. And
You trying to say that if I call her too often?
No, I'm encouraging direct communication with Dr. Kavanaugh. I just think that if I don't want to do that and then have you say, oh my gosh, I'm talking to all of you people all the time. I have a district to run. So to just keep us honest.
So far, we're fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think I see a lot of, within that 5 and 6 bullets, I see a lot of sort of community engagement, liaison engagement, those kinds of things, and bringing back those issues that you know, maybe we ourselves don't know about them, but people are bringing those issues to our attention. Be it an issue or information, and I think that the ability to bring that to Dr. Kavanaugh with the expectation that she's going to address it and sort of close that loop, you know, adds to that sort of air of transparency that we're all trying to achieve. Because I had highlighted 5 on my sheet today.
Yeah. All right, what else do you have highlighted?
What don't you have? Yeah.
I'm very thorough.
He likes a good highlighter.
Well, no, I
appreciate a good highlighter.
I thought it was interesting, just to prompt myself.
Yeah.
You know, I just thought of some of in the bibliography where it talks about some of the. You know, I didn't realize that it was a mass law that precludes school committee from raising an issue that could not have been reasonably anticipated by the chair.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a law.
That's related to open meeting law, so that we can't bring up something that's not listed on the agenda. It's not that you can't say, I'd like to talk about whatever it is, and then we put it on the agenda for another meeting.
But I mean, that type of thing is codified in the law. It's not just,
Oh, right.
thought it sounded good.
Right, right. And that we've actually had occasions where something that seemed kind of pressing came up at the last minute, and we've consulted with the town clerk, and he was quite knowledgeable about open meeting law, and we've been told that's not a good enough reason. It's not urgent enough, so we'd have to wait. So it is a real thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, the goal is to maintain that the communication and transparency, and certainly I'll Dr. Kavanaugh on speed dial.
All right, is there anything else and people want to touch on, add or subtract before we bring it back for another? Anything you want to? No? Okay. I gotta scroll back up. All right. So that brings us then down to the school committee member ethics policy, and that.
Sorry,
Okay,
do we need a motion to approve these for update, or?
We do, but I wanted to bring it back and let it kind of, unless people feel strongly they're ready to approve it, I'm good with that too.
I would defer to the two of them, because this is the document we approved.
Right,
at the beginning
that's
of last
exactly
year.
what, yeah.
Say okay by me.
Yeah, I went through it pretty thoroughly today.
Yeah, I did too.
And as you can see, my highlighter is well worn. And I mean, I'm comfortable with the document, you know, to read, and these are public documents, I'm sure. You know, to read through the document and see what the rules and norms are. You know, and knowing that these come from, you know, established resources. It's not just ad hoc, made up stuff.
We try to stay away from made up stuff.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. So I would be comfortable voting on this tonight.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion that we accept the Hopkinton School Committee protocols and best practices for effective school committee meetings with the change of the date from 2023 to 2024.
Excellent. Is there a second on that? Susan? Okay, second on it. Any more discussion before we vote? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Then that moves us into the school committee ethics policy. And I
see that listed as me here talking about this. One of the reasons that it felt like a good time to bring this back is really, I know that I was thinking about how you guys are going through the MASC charting the course, and it's been a few years since we've reviewed this, and it felt like it kind of tagged onto the norms and protocols, and we try to review policies as it's been a few years out from them. Did you want to add anything to that? Because I know that
No, usually what will happen with a policy is we'll review it and then bring it to you, but we have not reviewed this
Right.
one. This is just sort of your first review on this is right now in public.
And so just for folks at home, we don't typically approve policies on their first reading. We like to have a reading to discuss it, to think about, what it is. This is not a brand new policy, so typically a brand new policy, we literally don't really discuss it, we just introduce it. But, we'll bring it back again after tonight for another reading of it, and then we'll vote on it when we feel comfortable with it at that point. You look like
the source material is from 1964. That's a fun fact, isn't it?
You know what? I didn't even pick up on that. That is.
We haven't looked at this.
I feel a little concerned about that.
We could bounce this back.
Oh
to
my
the policy.
God.
So I feel like we should bounce this back to the policy.
We could bounce this because we have not looked at this.
I would like to do that.
Yeah, MASC may have had an update since
Perhaps.
1964, just a thought.
One or two. All right, so we will bring that back, and that then brings us into future agenda. Oh,
Sorry, Nancy. So the policy committee can do our work. Did anyone have any specific things in here that, like, any red flags or things you liked, or did anything jump out that you definitely want addressed?
The 1964 piece.
Yes, for sure. Yep.
I think it's a good document. Like, it's kind of thorough and defines all the relationships that we could potentially have. And maybe they knew what the heck was going on in 1964 and it really can't be improved, right? Like,
Well,
I don't know.
I think that can't be that's like the source materials from them, but that cannot be when the policy was written.
It was reviewed in
2018.
Well, it says adopted 2018.
Yeah, it was, but in terms of when it came from, in my recollection, I was not on the policy working group then. I don't know if you were. No, not.
Like,
I was,
1964. I don't think that's
Well, some of us were.
I think that I would like to, this material at its best is 5 years old.
Yeah.
So, I would like to
And
at
see
least
if-
go
if
through
they-
and make
they-
sure that
Oh,
the
yes.
Some
information
updates,
still.
yeah.
It seems to me that there could be a number of updates to it, ethics policy in this day and age.
I agree with that entirely, and just for clarity on the process, if we kick it back to the policy working group, they'll go through it and pick out suggestions they have for change and bring it back, and then we'll discuss their suggestions at our own end, and then it'll also go out to the community for the community to add in. And I know that the community that has elected us definitely has opinions on what they think is important for the ethics of the committee.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that what we're basing our judgments on is the most accurate, up-to-date information that's possible.
I agree.
I will, I'm excited to look at this, but I will say, just looking at the reference manual, this is the one on the MASC reference manual that says, source 5/22/1964, reviewed in 2022.
Okay.
So,
yes. So, and often there's,
but it's
held, but
not more there.
But, and you guys can look at other policies that other districts have as well, to see if they have things in their policies that would be good additions to ours, or things that you just, general thoughts of things that you feel like should be in there to bring back and present to the committee. Okay, that then brings us into, are there future agenda items that people would like to see brought back?
I have one that I don't think is a bring back. We had discussed at the end in probably February, after our budget process, that we wanted to take some time to do a debrief on the budget and the processes surrounding it. I would love for us to have a conversation about that before September, so that we can kind of troubleshoot or whatever. I don't know if troubleshoot's the right word, but go over,
I love that you brought that up, because that was when we were talking about
different liaison roles. What I was thinking of is a little bit of that in wanting to troubleshoot that, wanting to really have some good guidance.
Yeah, because there's levels, like between us and the select board and everything else, all the conversations, I think it's.
So I'm trying to think if that would be better for our daytime workshop, because that might be a longer conversation.
It could be a workshop conversation, because I assume that Adam and Susan will need to have some background information, yeah.
And just in terms of the timeline, when we get to September, we'll have a joint meeting with the Select Board and the Appropriations Committee, and we'll talk about, we'll get some information from the town on, projected town finance stuff, and the Select Board will give us a budget message. And the budget message is typically a percentage that they feel comfortable that they'd like us to target for how much we increase our operating budget from FY, it'll be at that point, we'll be looking at FY '25. And then we don't actually get to vote on that piece of it. They will vote on that and give us that target. And then all of our wonderful departments will kind of work from the bottom up to try to build the budget from zero up to what meets the needs of the kids and work to do the best. We don't always come in at the 5.3% was what they did last year at the percentage they give us. It's a work in progress, but I think back to Holly's point, we want to figure out how we can make this process better next year than we did this past year. And recognizing, that working with our town partners, they have different information than we do, and wanting to really collaborate with them, but make sure that
different approaches to how they do it.
Meeting the needs of our kiddos. So that's. Thank you for bringing that back.
I think that's great.
Are there other things that people want to throw out for? You can also shoot an email if it's like something that you think of between now and when we meet and it feels pressing. Okay. That brings us then down to items by consensus.
All right, as superintendent, I recommend the school committee approve the items by consensus as outlined in your agenda.
Is there a motion for that?
Yeah, I'll move to approve this.
Motion by Holly. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Any questions? Okay, then all those in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Okay, any opposed? Okay, so that passes. And then I would seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Holly. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Amanda. For a minute, I thought nobody wanted to leave.
Oh, no.
Okay, all those in favor?
Yes.
Aye. And we are adjourned at 8:40, just about 8:47. Our next meeting is July 6th, and it will be here. It's a regular meeting, and then we'll meet again on the 27th. Thank you all, and congratulations to all of our students and staff in finishing out, another great school year. Thanks. Good night.